Hello. Today we're going to try and cover monsters. I'm going to show you kind of the way that I'm doing monsters now, how easy it is to create really unique monsters and take stuff that we've already got and make it much more fun and kind of more challenging for your players as well. Today is pretty windy here, so if you hear that, sorry, I'm not in control of that yet. So let's jump straight in so we're not messing around too much. This is a goblin. I love goblins a huge amount. This is a goblin in the book. It's got its hit die, which is really, really important. AC, kind of hit points, all its stats, all this information there. That is great, but it's not the way I tend to use it. If you're getting a picture with me by now, I'm always looking for how I can lesson prep, get maximum kind of impact for the time that I spend and enjoy it, create cool and fun stuff for my players. So this is a map. It's kind of like taking just a picture from here. This was not intended when I drew it for it to be seen by anybody, so it's kind of illegible, but this will kind of give you an idea of the journey that I took and where I am now. So essentially what I did is just took a Dyson's logo map, redrew it, added a few bits to it and added it so that it would fit on the battle map that I used so I could draw it as I went along. And then I wanted everything I needed to kind of run it from there. I can make up most of the stuff as we go, but that was a fungal zombie that I did. It was one hit die, that was the AC. I didn't use any of the, it was just the modifiers because that's the only thing that matters. Hit points and an easy check of 1d4 strength damage. That was kind of all I needed. And I had these shrooms around here as well that would whip people and pull them back. And that's all I needed to run them was the hit die, the hit points, the damage. And that was enough for me to run them without anything else. Now, obviously, that's too little for a book, but that's been the idea I've been running with for a while and using to create monsters. So if I go back to here and I run through some facts about monsters and how I would go about creating them now, there's a few things to remember off the start. The most important thing with a monster is a hit die. Its hit die tells you how many, what its modifier is to hit. Something with a plus, with a two hit die monster is +2 to hit. That's +2 to all attack rolls, not to damage rolls, but just to attack rolls. So having that, knowing the hit die is your starting point. But the hit die also determines saves. So any save that somebody has to make from that monster, 4 is kind of a magic number in this. You'll get used to it because it makes things really, really easy. But 0 to 4 means that it's an easy save, and an easy save in Olde Swords Reign is a DC 8. The thing about the saves being easy, normal, and hard, which is DC 8, DC 12, DC 16, means you actually start speaking in words as opposed to numbers. And when you say that's a normal or that's a hard save, people know exactly what it is. So 0 to 4 hit die is an easy save for all things. 5 to 8 is normal, and 9+ is a hard save. That makes a huge difference to the monsters. Also, its proficiency bonuses. Its proficiency bonuses are only really used when it's doing a save. But again, 0 to 4 is +2, 5 to 8 is +3, 9 to 12 is +4. And I'll show you how we use that. The other thing I bear in mind is armor. So these are just the armors for the players. No armor is 10+ dex. Leather armor, and I'd be applying this to the monster. Does it have like leather skin? Well, in that case, it's going to be 12+ its dex. Does it have a solid shell or something in between? I'd use these kind of like a guideline, so it makes sense for players and also makes sense for me. And shields are +1. So with this information in mind, which isn't a huge amount of information, you can kind of create anything. So what I've been using, there's an RPG called Cairn that's free, and I really like the simplicity of it. But one of the things I really liked was how they set up monsters. Their monsters had a lot of character in very little space. So it would have like a line which is a description, a line which is something that makes it unique or a tactic that it uses, and a line that is a special effect if you have a crit in that game. And that kind of like, that's a lot of information in a small amount of space that can take a monster and take it from being just a stat block to being something a little bit more interesting. So here's a goblin changed from there. So the goblin is hit die, half hit die. All that information that you need to run it is essentially here. If it has a save, then we know that the proficiency bonus for anything for 0 to is +2. I put that proficiency bonus here. So in Olde Swords Reign, there is 2 types of save for a monster: a physical save, a mental save, I suppose, a physical save, a mental save, or they can have both. So that means any save that they have to make across the physical stats is +2, or the mental stats, if you had it there, would be +2 as well. So again, by putting that little star there, and again, I was doing this on my little dot journal as I go. So I just took the stats and say small creature relies on stealth, sunlight sensitivity, attack rolls equal disadvantage in sunlight. And I added this. This isn't what I'm saying is the official way with goblins, but to make them a little bit more interesting, or this particular tribe of goblins a little bit more interesting, is on a successful attack it can disengage. That would make it a bit of a nightmare to fight. They'd be able to come in, hit, and get out. And it would give the players a lot more decisions or challenge on how they actually took on this particular tribe of goblins. So that's a basic stat, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a bunch of little monsters for an idea I've got in my head live, and then you can see how I would go about it. Again, how I go about it isn't necessarily the right way, but you can see how easy it would be to create them. So I'm just going to take this, let me zoom in a little bit if I can. Come on, you. I'll try up here. Oh no, other way around. Is that better? Yeah, that is better. So I'm going to take this slide, I'm going to paste it in again, we're going to start again. Okay, so I'll get rid of that. And we're going to take the goblins and I'm going to stick it up towards the top. Yeah, we can see that. Cool. So the plan for this is I've been thinking about this fungal kind of goblin thing. So I'm going to create a bunch of different types of fungal goblin that can work together and fight together, and take a goblin and make it a much harder monster, and also potentially make something that might be the center of a small mini campaign. So the starting point is I thought I wanted this kind of spore goblin, this small weak goblin with a big bloated stomach that would walk forward kind of with his arms out saying, we want to be friends. And when it got close, it would explode. 15-foot radius, anything within that 15-foot radius is going to attack people. So I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to call it a spore goblin. Okay, no, can we do better than that? Spore goblin, spore funglin. We're going to call them funglins. So a spore funglin. So we're going to make these a little bit harder. These are going to be 1, so we know it's going to be a +1 to hit. The next thing I'm going to do is go onto its stats. This thing is going to be weak, so -1 is good with it. It's not going to be that fast. So I'm going to go 0 in dex. It's not going to be that strong. So 0 there. In fact, this one is going to have -1 there, and it's going to have strength saves of 2. So that's okay. So with that stats there, the intelligence is 0. Wisdom is... So this thing is not intelligent at all, because it's just kind of like a... It's got one thing in life that it's looking to do, is make friends by exploding on them. So immediately now we can look at the hit points. So it's a 1 hit die monster. Normally, the correct way of doing it is that all monsters in this have a D8 hit die. So the correct way is 4.5. Generally, when I'm creating stuff, I just use 4 because it's easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to times this by 4. But before I do that, I'm going to add or subtract the con. So if I take the 1 away from the con, instead of having to do it as a separate maths, it's much easier to do it at the start. That means it's going to be 3 times 1, so it's going to have 3 hit points. This thing is not going to hurt at all. It's going to do a D4 scratch. And dex, it's going to have leather, the equivalent of leather armor, which is 12, and it's got 0 dex to add to it, so I'm just going to do 12. That's your new monster stat block in a few seconds. I'm going to change this to a claw. So you'll see in the book sometimes there's a thing in brackets. 1d4 is if you want to roll the damage. The thing in the left-hand side is just an average damage if you want to use that. To be honest, at the table I tend to roll damage because it takes next to no time when you're getting used to it. With this, you can attack with like 5 monsters at the same time, roll all your attacks, then roll your damage, because it's fairly easy to do. So I'm going to give it a quick description, and again these are rough because I'm doing them as we go. Bloated, small, bloated goblin, creepy, smile, arms open. And we're going to go, ignore this because it's all going to be in caves. I will say if within 5 feet of a PC will explode in 15-foot radius, which is a near diameter. 15-foot radius. Radius. Okay. Easy save or attack. PC is the wrong word, so attack companion. 4d4 rounds. I'm going to give it another line. Explodes if killed. So if somebody shoots it from a distance, it's going to explode as well. There we go. We got a spore funglin. I'm just going to take this thing, copy it. I'm going to paste it again, grab it down. Let's create him a buddy. So I want him to have like a guard because these are really weak. I want them to be, I want players to be able to see them come in and go, oh crap, and then have something else helping them. So I'm going to put shield funglin. This one is going to be 1 hit die as well. They're going to be easy to kill. This is going to have +1 strength. It's going to have +2 dex because it's going to have, it's powered up by fungal spores, so it's going to have +1. Again, its save is going to be physical, and it's a 1 hit die monster, so we know that it's going to be a 2 proficiency bonus. So this means that we can then figure out the rest of it fairly easy. It's 12 AC plus its dex, so its AC is going to be 14. Its hit points are going to be 4 plus or minus con, so that's going to be 5 times the hit die. So its hit is going to be 5 hit points. It's going to do d6 damage. Its intelligence, yeah, this thing again, I'm going to put it as a +1 wisdom because I think it's kind of like it's smart in the sense of it's trying to look after its friend. Its damage is going to be d6. We're going to say sharp stick. And I want this thing to have an actual fungal spore on its arm. So, funglin with large shield spore growing out of arm. Make that a little bit wider. Can sacrifice shield to take full damage of 1 attack. Okay, so at any point, doesn't matter how big the damage is, it can sacrifice its shield to take that damage. And I'm also going to put in here there is a feat that somebody can have where they can take damage of somebody next to them. So I don't like the idea of this thing being able to walk along protecting this spore funglin. That's going to make it really difficult. Give players hard choices of how do we kill this thing if these things are kind of like protecting it. So yeah, so I'm going to say can take damage for any close funglin. Okay, so obviously this isn't kind of adventure ready, but this will give you an idea of what I'm doing. It's enough for me to make some really cool monsters. I'm going to get this and get this out of the way. We're going to create another one here, which is, if we grab that, Control-C, Control-V, and give me the little movie thing. We're going to put you over here. You're going to give me a matchup? There we go. No. Okay, we'll just stick you there. So I'm going to do a rage funglin. Okay, so this is going to have 2 hit die this time, so it's going to be +2 to hit everything. It is going to have +2 to strength, +2 to con, +2 to dex. Again, it's going to have physical saves, which will be 2. So we can figure out the hit points now, which is going to be 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 times the hit die is 12 hit points. These are going to be little buggers to fight. Its armor is going to be 12 plus 2, which is still 14. It's going to do 1d6 damage. Again, what I'm going to say with this is a small description. Red-eyed, dribbling, rage, funglin. And I wanted to have a small bag of spores that it kind of sniffs, because this is something that the players can potentially use. So spore bag, small spore bag, 3 uses, rage spores. So it can sniff out of them rage, and it will create a rage, which will give it 2 times attack. Let's give a space in there. So it gives it 2 attacks while it's raging for 1d4 rounds. Okay. And then I want kind of like a. What I would do is probably have a little bit of information separate on these spores, so I'm not kind of sticking up the monster stat here. But I would say if the players got that, they would be able to take it. They would be able to get the 2 attacks for d4 rounds. But when they run out of spores, they're gonna have to take like a d6 against a d6 subtracted from any check they make until they have a short rest or a breather, probably a breather. So it's going to have something cool that they can use, but they're going to have to be really careful on how to use it. What I would probably say is it takes a full breather for them to, it takes a full breather for them to recover from the spore damage or the exhaustion type thing. But they can't recover any hit points for that breather. So it would have a negative effect, but also a positive effect, and players could take it and use it and potentially use it at any point they want. And then I'm going to do one more, which is going to be the mother. I want like a big bad in here somewhere. So we're going to call this the Funglin Mother. Funglin Mother. So I'm picturing this huge, mainly spore mushroom with like a little goblin head, creepy little thing. So I'm going to change this one to 5 hit die. So this is obviously not aimed at level 1 characters. The reason I'm changing it is to show you the difference it makes. So so immediately from 5 hit die, I'm going to switch across to here. This thing is strong. It does not have good dex at all, because it is essentially part of the wall. It can't really move, so I'm going to give it a -2 to dex. It's con, it's +3. It's going to have physical saves, but it's now, because it's went up to 5 hit die, if we go back to the one beforehand, you can see that it's now proficiency bonus is going to be 3 now, but also saves are going to be normal, which is DC 12. And I'm going to give this thing saves in both of those. So yeah, I'm going to give them saves in both of those, in both mental and physical. This thing here, we can now figure out its AC, which is going to be 12 -2, which is 10. This thing's going to be easy to hit. Its hit points is going to be 4, which 4 for the hit die, +3 is 5, 6, 7 times 5, which is 35. This thing has got a lot of hit points, but it's going to be easy to take damage from. D6 damage, yeah, we'll leave that in there. This thing is intelligent, so I'm going to give it a +3 intelligent, +1 in wisdom, and it's a +2 in charisma. Now, when I say in charisma, this is going to be able to speak to people, convince people, and this is kind of potentially this is the big bad for the entire area. for a lower level campaign. So I'm going to get rid of this altogether, the damage thing here, and I'm going to put in huge spore, huge fungal mass with single. Let's not do single, with several goblin heads. Okay, that's nasty. So I want this thing to be really smart and hard to approach. So I'm going to say one of the things it can do is spore cloud can release spore cloud. Can release spore cloud to near. Near is 30 foot. No, that's too much. Spore. Close. Okay, so close is anything within 5 foot. So if you get too close to it, this thing can just release a spore cloud to everything trying to attack it, which is going to be a bit of a bugger for people to fight it. I'm going to go. Can throw spore sacks at. Can throw spore sacks at PCs. And what else? We can throw the spore sacks at it. It can put out a cloud. Will direct funglins intelligently while speaking to players. Okay, that's cool. Now, what I would then probably do, and again, I'm not going to do it here because I don't want the video to go along, is create, to make it a little bit more interesting, I would say her spores have a few different effects. So I would probably create a D6 table, like three options, which I could roll at the table, which would be cool, and players would be like, oh, it just has that bit of suspense. So I would say maybe with her spores, you'd roll on a 1 to 2 on a D6. It would be they would attack anybody near, on a or any PC near. On a 3 to 4, they would try and heal any funglin. So I'm guessing it would be the same as a breather. They could go up to them. They would do the check. If they did, that funglin would then get up. And on 5 to 6, they would go to the spore mother and try and heal her and do the same thing. So they would try and patch her wounds using their provisions. It also means they would be within 5 feet then when they come through. That for me, now in very little time, I think, we've created 4 unique monsters just off the back of a goblin, off the idea of a goblin and some fungus. Completely unique challenges. Any combination of these is going to give the players really, really hard decisions. We've taken what is a low hit die monster and made something really cool and a hell of a lot more challenging. And let me jump back to the camera. Okay, and this could potentially then be a cave complex somewhere near their starting town. They could go in there. If it's too hard for them at the start, which it absolutely would be, they'll probably run away, which is a smart thing to do. But then as the campaign goes on, if you didn't want to waste this work, you could start bringing this stuff in. So the feel or the strength of the funglin mother will then start to have impact in the town. Some people would start to get infected. You could just grow on this so much. And this is in the course of, I don't know how long, probably about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We've created 4 unique monsters. Well, probably in less time than that because I had to talk about how to create monsters. And the idea of what would be a centerpiece of a low-level campaign. So hopefully that helps and gives you an idea of the way that through the use of the game, I would be creating monsters now, creating stuff that's unique and not just a bag of hit points, but really interesting and challenging for players. Things that you can do, like you create one of these in a couple of minutes on a notebook. It takes longer when you're sitting here and typing it in. So hopefully that helps. hopefully that will give you some ideas about stuff that you want to create. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I've got a big announcement to make next week. I've got to do some stuff first before I can make this announcement. It's kind of exciting. So yeah, keep an eye out for next week's video. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Any questions about monsters or anything like that, put them below, and I'll do my very best to answer them. All right, take care. Bye.